Greetings, Oiler fans. So, do you have Chelsea Dagger stuck in your head yet? You know, it's been 11 years since the Vancouver Canucks were destroyed by the Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games. And it was just something that made me angry. And then in 2010, it happened all over again. 2011, it almost happened again. So, Chelsea Dagger can be quite triggering. And that's why I still think it's the best goal song, because you really learn to hate it. And you really learn that you don't want to hear it, and then as soon as they score, your brain says, oh God, it's going to happen again, isn't it? And it does. The Oilers should have won this game. Now, I know Hawk fans are going to say should have, but they didn't. Right. And this is one of those learning experiences if you're the Oilers. I know Oiler fans are tired of learning experiences. They want winning experiences. Taves with a hook, an early Oilers power play, but the Hawks got shorthanded chances, and Doc hits the post. Before this series, I saw people posting that Kirby Doc was a bum and he was going to be a bust, and why was he drafted at 3, and Kirby Doc's not that big a deal, and look, he only had, 8 goals this year. He's not very good. I don't understand. This draft class was supposed to be pretty good at the top. It wasn't very good. I think Doc has silenced any doubters. I wasn't one of them either. I just want to say, if you can find a single video where I said Kirby Doc wasn't any good, I would honestly be quite surprised. And if it exists, I full on apologize. The shots were 3-0 for the Hawks at the 8-minute mark, and then Mata ends up getting a goal from Kane and Highmore at 9:14. And Matthew Highmore, very good game for him. I've been a fan of Highmore's for a while, to the point where people are like, why does Shannon like Highmore? And tonight was one of those nights where it's like, okay, there it is. Lots of screens on that goal, though. There's no way Koskinen saw it. No chance. And then 28 seconds later, Draisaitl scores from Ennis and Yamamoto. And that's how you answer a goal against. And so it felt like the Oilers weren't going to let this get away from them. And for the most part, they didn't. This was a pretty good game. That's the frustrating part if you're an Oilers fan right now, is this was a pretty good game, and then all of a sudden, shabam, kablamo. So the Oilers almost added another. Then the Hawks nearly got their second, but they only had one shot in about 6 minutes. So once the Oilers tied it up, they had the momentum. And with momentum, it's a weird thing in these playoffs. It doesn't seem to go very far. Archibald takes a penalty. The Hawks go to a power play, but 16 seconds later, Kubalik takes an interference call. There were a lot of penalties in this game. A lot of penalties. Until the third, and then they all just stopped. Saad had a chance during the 4-on-4. He just misses. Yamamoto then takes a penalty as the parade continues in the first. Russell takes a penalty, turns it into a 5-on-3 for 49 seconds. And with a 5-on-3, what are the Hawks going to do? Right. Do. Yeah. Taves from Dawkin to Brinkett at 19:55 on the power play. And there's Chelsea Dagger. It's 2-1 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. Second period, early penalty to Yamamoto. The Hawks go back to the power play and do not score. The Oilers' penalty kill was really solid. You can't get too upset about them allowing one 5-on-3 because there's only 3 guys on the ice to the 5 on the other team. It's hard to defend a 5-on-3. Draisaitl gets a goal from Benning at 4:07. That ties the game up. And that was honestly the first good chance the Oilers had in the second period. So you have to look at that and say, well, they've got a good chance then because they just can turn it on, right? You've got Draisaitl, you've got McDavid, you can turn it on. Archibald takes his second penalty. The Hawks go back to the power play. Saad hits the post during that power play. And then Kampf takes a penalty right after to put the Oilers on their second power play. So, it's the back and forth. Athanasiou gets a call. The Hawks get their 6th power play. Little did they know that would be their final power play. But they'd already struck once. So from here on, it would be 5-on-5 play that would dictate things. Jujhar Khaira gets a post on a break. Crawford ended up freezing the puck on that play. I thought Khaira played well. I think he's transitioned to center relatively well, and good future for this guy. And yet, Ennis would get hurt. It was a play where he got boarded by Doc. He goes face first into the boards. Again, it's one of those ones that I don't check online to see if people are upset. It's like Muslin last night. I didn't check online to see if people are upset. I didn't know anybody was upset until I'd already done the review. So if people are upset about the Dach hit on Ennis, I don't see anything there. It was his knee that ends up getting hurt from the looks of things, anyways, or his ankle. With Bieksa, it would seem to be that he's saying it's his ankle. It's right leg related. He couldn't put any weight on it. He exits the game. He didn't come back in. So that's bad news for Edmonton. They lose one of their top 6 forwards. Kirby Dach then had a breakaway that was denied. As temperatures start to rise, we start getting more of the stick work and more of the unpleasantness between players of separate teams. And so the temperatures rise. The Oilers go on a power play with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. I'm not sure how the Oilers came out of that with a power play, to be completely honest. I mean that. Not with any malice. I have no idea how, coming out of that a referee said, okay, so the Oilers have the power play without the Hawks saying, pardon? So McDavid would score during that power play as the seconds tick down from Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins at 19:52. And it's a nice goal, and it's his first shot of the game. So again, as we go into the break, it's a 3-2 lead in favor of the Oilers. Things are going their way. So, I mean, if you're an Oiler fan, you have to be going into the third period going, all right, things look good, right? So, early on, both teams negated icing calls with their speed. So, this is one of those normally to be icing, but because of the speed on both teams, they beat out the icing calls, and it led to some pretty wide open play, some whistles here and there, and some interesting plays as well. Open net for Taves, he hits the post. So, post for Jonathan Taves. He has a chance to tie it, and you could see he was getting frustrated. You could see that he was getting more and more frustrated as the game wore on because he was getting prime chances. He already had 1 goal, but he's looking for that second goal. He takes it on himself that he's going to get his team to that next level. Solid saves then by Koskinen, and I know what the scoreline looks like. I'm well aware of what the scoreline looks like. I know the easy blame is to put it on goaltenders with scorelines like this, but I don't. The Hawks hadn't scored in the third period of this series, either on Smith, Koskinen. They don't score in the third period. I don't know why, but they figured it out tonight. And I don't know what happened. It felt like the Hawks had the advantage. The Oilers were protecting the lead, and it felt like they were sitting back. It felt like the Oilers, the shots don't bear it out, and I understand that territorially maybe it was near even, but it felt like they were just sort of lingering about, and the Hawks were getting the better chances. And finally, it's Highmore that tips one from Cuckoo and Mata at 14-13. And that ties it. And this is one of those ones where if there was a crowd in Chicago, and this is in Chicago, they blow the roof off the United Center. This is one of those ones where if you're an Oilers fan and you hear that crowd blow up and then you hear Chelsea Dagger, you probably throw something. You might have thrown something anyways as an Oiler fan. Dach then got shaken up, but he would stay in the game. It looked like, I don't know, Charlie Horse, something like, I don't know. It didn't look that bad. He would stay in the game. He played 22 minutes before that, so he played about 23, 24 minutes in this game. Again, Kirby Dach, because of the amount of time that we've had off during the break, it is like these rookies are in their second season, and Dach looks good. Like, he is going to get his points. He is going to be a top 6 forward for the Blackhawks for the next, 10 years. And then Taves gets the goal from Murphy and Keith at 18:44, just after I had told my wife. I said, it looks like we'll get some overtime tonight. She said, yeah, no, this game looks like it's headed to overtime. And then Chicago gets the goal. Now, the interesting thing is, again, it felt like the Oilers were protecting the lead throughout a lot of the third, and they were maybe not making the same effort. The effort showed up for the Oilers to me after Highmore tied it. That's where you saw Draisaitl really driving to the net. That's where you started to see more play from McDavid that was really forceful. And it sort of exposed that maybe they were sitting back a bit. Now, the goal by Taves, there was a deflection by Ethan Bear in there as well. And I don't think Koskinen stands a chance on that. I expect him to get thrown under the bus. I expect people to say Koskinen's not good enough and the Oilers' goaltending is garbage. I expect that. I don't blame the Oilers' goaltending tonight. You could put Mike Smith under a microscope for game one. I really don't put that same criticism on Koskinen from tonight. They pull the goalie in the last minute. They take a timeout with 12 and a half seconds left, and then the Hawks just do what the Hawks do. They're able to just strangle it. It's done. We've got an Eastern Conference where Montreal is riding a hot goalie with Carey Price, and they're getting timely offense from young players, and we're seeing the maturation of Nick Suzuki for that next generation of Habs. With Chicago, we're seeing a veteran lineup that has won before. They know how to do this, and you've added Kirby Dach, a top 3 pick from last year, to a forward group that was already pretty good. DeBrincat had a poor season. He's looking to bounce back. He does get on the board tonight with an assist. It's only a matter of time before DeBrincat gets a couple of goals. The Hawks are every bit as dangerous as I was worried they might be when I heard about this format of 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, and all that. So Edmonton, the same amount of shots as Chicago in the first and in the third, at 9 each in the first, 8 apiece in the third, and in the second, they outshot them 11-8. Final shots 28-25 in favor of the Oilers. The hits were 19-15 in favor of Chicago. Not a lot of hitting going on out there. A couple of pretty dangerous big hits, but not a lot of hitting in general. Power plays, Edmonton goes 1 for 3, Chicago goes 1 for 6. So Edmonton, they have a 33% on their power play. They kill off over 50%. They kill off, well, let's see, 5 out of 6, it's 84%. All right. Anyways, normally I'm right on with that. It's 83.3% on their penalty kill. So that's not bad. And yet, here we are. The Oilers, 5-on-5, they allow goals here, and those 3 are what sink them. So we'll see what happens in Game 4. We'll see how things work for Chicago. And for Oiler fans, I'm sorry. I know exactly how this feels. As a Canuck fan, I know exactly how this feels with guys like Kane and Taves in the middle of it. And Crawford in net. I know exactly how it feels. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know Hawks fans are tickled. And I did get this jersey over the last week. I got it from Full Moon Jerseys. They were having bidding on it. And I thought, well, anytime I can get a Hawks that has the chain stitching on it, it kind of shows it right there, the chain stitching on the logo, I'll pick it up, and I got it for like $40. So if you were bidding against me on eBay, I got it. And I was like, I wouldn't mind having a Jonathan Taves jersey because I like Taves. The idea that because I don't normally cheer for the Hawks that I don't like individual players is folly. I do like Jonathan Taves. And tonight is an example of why, because even if you don't like the team, you have to respect the player, and you got to respect his game. And tonight, Taves, pretty good game. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, these playoffs are really, really, really crazy unpredictable. So when we get into round 1, I'm not even going to try to predict who's going to win. I'm just going to talk about who I want to win, and we'll see what happens. Thanks again for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.